प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत ऑनलाइन क्लास में। आज हम बात करेंगे बीए पार्ट सेकंड के सिलेबस की प्रेस्क्राइब्ड पोएम सोहराब एंड रुस्तम। इससे पहले के वीडियो में हमने सोहराब एंड रुस्तम पोएम को डिस्कस किया था। उसमें हमने बात की थी द राइटर मैथ्यू आर्नोल्ड और पोएम की एक ब्रीफ के बारे में बात की थी। टुडे we will discuss a critical appreciation of the poem Soharab and Rustam. First, we will talk about the theme of the poem. This long narrative poem, Soharab and Rustam, is Arnold's attempt at handling Oriental themes. It is based on an episode from the Shahnama of Firdausi. Rustam was one of the bravest Persian heroes. He successfully drove away the Mongol hordes back in their attack on his native land. In the single combat which was desired by Sohrab, Rustam slew him. Rustam learnt the fact that Sohrab was his own son only after he had fatally wounded him. In the last part of the poem, we see Rustam sitting by the side of the dying son. Rustam fought with Sohrab, unaware of the fact that his opponent was his own son. He had never seen his son. Sohrab was mortally wounded. Rustam soon came to know that he had murdered his own son. Rustam sat by the Sohrab's side while he breathed his last. Rustam drew his spear from his body and the blood came gushing out. Rustam had mortally wounded Sohrab in the combat. Soon Sohrab died. Rustam drew his riding cloak and covered Sohrab's face with it. Rustam lay by the side of the dead body of his son. Rustam, in this condition, looked like one of those high pillars which were erected by Jamshid to support his place, but which are now wholly in ruins. It grew dark, night came. The two armies, the sole pair, the whole field, everything was darkened by night's darkness. A cold fog had arisen from the Oxus river. Soon there was noise. People in the two camps seemed to have dispersed. They went to their respective camps. They took their meals. The Persians took their meal in the open field in the south. The Tartars by the river bank. Rustam and his son were left alone. The grand river Oxus flowed through the desert place with its water shining in the moonlight. It flowed towards north. In the highly rain, it flowed last full to the brim. Its speed became less as it entered the desert place. Hence, it had many divisions, so its currents were split. It appeared as if it had forgotten its earlier quick flow. The river Oxus flowed on undisturbed by the conflicts of the two armies. The river appeared to have forgotten the quick flow of its earlier course. The source of this river is in the plateaus of Pamir. The river flowed in a citrus path. At last, the beatings of the sea waves became audible. The river took the much desired rest in the bright aerial sea into which many rivers fall. The shining stars appear brighter as if their dullness is all washed by the sea. It is the summary of the poem Sohrab and Rustam. Now we will talk about the style of the poem. The style of the poem is generally classic, and this is to be observed from the restrained manner of writing, of introducing similes in the fashions of Homer and use of other materials. True to the classic masters, he devotes less space to fighting and more to expression of Sohrab's joy at finding his father and Rustam's grief at his son's death. The poem is full of beautiful similes. Even the small extract form has many beautiful similes. For example, as those black granite pillars, once high read by Jamshid in Persepolis. Here the simile is used. Arnold has brought out the theory of fate in this poem. Arnold was a great lover of the nature. He beautifully painted the the peace of nature in this poem. The description of the Oxus flowing towards the Aral Sea is a beautiful example of his nature painting. So, nature painting is another point of this poem. Now, the meter of the poem. The poem is written in the iambic pentameter, otherwise known as the heroic meter. The blank verse is majestically used, often reminds of us Tennyson's Morte de Author. This was the meter of the poem. Being a classicist, the worshipper of Greek masters of literature, Arnold naturally loved impersonal poetry. In this, his work is strongly reminiscent of Homer. His personal poetry is permeated with one thought, the thought of change. This is the critical appreciation of the poem Sohrab and Rustam. This poem is an account of Sohrab's search for his father. The poem begins with the scene where the two beautiful armies of the Tartars and Persians are encamped along the wars. So, when we attempt any critical appreciation of the poem, we have to talk about the author, about the poem, about the style, about the beautification, and all these things while describing or while attempting a critical appreciation of the poem. Hope you will understand this poem beautiful.